Welcome to a brand new episode of What's New in Beauty. My name is Nia Lee and I'm super excited to have you guys here. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen each other, but I cannot wait for us to dive in. This is the IGTV series where we talk all new and exciting things happening in the beauty industry and just all topics in beauty that I'm just interested in talking about. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Sephora recently updated their clean beauty program to include and add restricted ingredients and sustainability to the program. They have ramped up their program now to actually include a new category called Clean and Planet Positive to address the environmental consequences of beauty merchandise. There is now 18 brands that now have the actual Clean and Planet Positive seal, such as Aether Beauty, Say Beauty, Tata Harper, Selfless by Hiram, just to name a few. Now, in order for brands to obtain the Clean and Planet Positive seal at Sephora, they must meet guidelines in 4 areas, such as climate commitment, sustainable sourcing, responsible packaging, and environmental giving. I think this is such an incredible move for Sephora because this really is them kind of putting, an end to whatever people say in terms of the CleanAtSephora stamp. I know sometimes people feel like brands get that stamp and maybe don't necessarily deserve it because they still have tons of packaging. They still have all these things that really at the end of the day aren't necessarily sustainable. Sure, they're clean in terms of ingredients, but the fact that they're adding on this sustainable stamp and also adding in restricted ingredients is really exciting. And to see already some brands that pretty much adhere to all the guidelines already have the seal is also exciting as well too. This is Sephora saying hey, we want to be the people to kind of put you in the right direction, because as a huge beauty retailer, so many people look at Sephora and revere Sephora at kind of, doing things a little bit differently. This is pretty much taking the guesswork out for you. And so I think this is such a great move for Sephora. And I cannot wait to see more brands also added to this list as well too. So it looks like partnerships are on the rise for beauty retailers. And that is with the announcement of Target partnering with Ulta Beauty to launch a new immersive beauty experience in select Target stores. And initially they're going to launch in 100 Target stores and then 800 Target stores over the next few years. And this is really going to be a shop-to-shop concept where essentially you can shop Ulta Beauty products such as makeup, hair care, skincare, you name it, in Target. And it's going to be a particular area. It's going to be an 1,000 square feet beauty experience where you'll get to pretty much experience Ulta in Target. Some of the brands that are going to be launching in this immersive beauty experience are ABH, Benefit, Juvia's Place, just to name a few. I think Pattern Beauty as well. Just so many incredible brands. Now, according to an article on CNBC, Target must prove that it can keep growing. Even after gaining millions of dollars of market share during the pandemic, they really are looking for the opportunity now to see if they can actually withstand, especially within the beauty market. And Ulta Beauty, on the other hand, everybody's been shopping at Ulta like crazy. And so this is them really wanting to introduce itself to a whole new customer base and seize upon the return of people going back to school, people going back to the office, people socializing again, pretty much being outside as people trade their face masks for lip glosses. It just goes to show you, as much as they maybe look at each other as competition, it just makes sense. You know what I mean? So many people go to Ulta and love the beauty products that they have. People are already shopping at Target already. So I think Target's saying hey, why don't we, bring Ulta in to Target? And while people are already shopping for things in Target, they can also experience Ulta Beauty as well too. And that also might even prompt you now to go shop at Ulta Beauty and see what they have going on. And just to see them come together and partner like this, it just makes the most sense. And I just really hope that more brands actually go ahead and do this, or more retailers. But actually it was announced that Target's rival Kohl's is actually going to be partnering with Sephora as well to kind of sort of do a very similar thing where they're coming together to create some sort of beauty experience. And there's going to be an astronomical amount again in the next, few years. And it just goes to show you at the end of the day, people really want these in-store experiences. We're outside, we're shopping for beauty products again. It just makes sense at the end of the day because it brings more eyes on these brands. And so I'm really excited. This seems like such an aligned partnership, and I'm excited to see more news of how it all comes together. And I think it's going to be super dope. And I just think it's super genius. Last but not least, let's talk about a product launch that definitely caught my eye. And this is all about Glossier's newest solar paint bronzer. Now, this is a really exciting time for them because they wanted to launch with 4 particular shades. It has a little bit of a luminous kind of shimmer to it. It really kind of applies naturally, especially with the whip-like texture and the doe foot applicator that you can pretty much use in particular areas that you want. That, of course, the sun naturally hits. And it was interesting to kind of also see as well, too, the marketing campaigns that they have for it. I mean, I loved kind of how everything kind of looked super kind of futuristic a little bit. But I will say there were tons of comments, particularly on their social media, about the lack of shade range, the fact that, you know, you really couldn't necessarily see what the actual bronzer looked like on all different types of skin. And even so that the marketing campaigns heavily relied on black and brown models, but it ended up just looking like cloud paint with some shimmer on it. And this is what I'll say. I think it was a great initial launch. I think there's so many people that are excited about this. Also, shout out to my girl Delina, because she actually got PR from Glossier and also had the opportunity to work with them. And that was the first time I actually seen it on anybody that I knew and on real skin, and it looked stunning. And I was like, ooh, that looks beautiful. But I will say, like, the shade range does seem a little bit disappointing, and I'm hoping that they actually extend it and really give the opportunity for us to see it, this actual bronzer in, you know, all different types of shades. You know what I mean? Not just like, you know, the black and brown girls, which I do love. But I'm also excited as well, too, because maybe this opens up the floodgates for more conversations with their community, and also maybe even an option where there isn't necessarily shimmer to it as well, too, because, you know, Glossier has tons of those products already. I think this is kind of sort of them putting like a hybrid of all the things into one product, but I think their community was definitely looking for something else. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of intrigued me a little bit. I was looking at it, and I've also seen like Makeup Shayla do a tutorial about how to use it, so it does look stunning on the skin. But I'm just really interested to see, you know, maybe even more skin tones try it out as well too, and maybe even an extension in the actual shade range, and maybe an option not for the shimmer there. So we shall see how it all comes together. And that's everything, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of What's New in Beauty. Definitely let me know down below which of the topics I mentioned tonight that you're super excited about. And of course, do not forget to join me and Delina in the Beauty Business Club tonight at 8 p.m. on Clubhouse for the What's New in Beauty after show, as we dive in deeper to all the topics that we just spoke about. And of course, key, we have a good time. We go back and forth. It's just, if you're there, you know what the vibe is. And so without further ado, I will catch you guys for a brand new episode of What's New in Beauty next week, Monday.